in table 4C, we have to mention the zero rate supply on payment of taxes. Okay, so if a person has reported zero rate supply without payment of tax and then corrected it with payment of tax, then will it be reported in 4C?
Okay, so again, when it comes to the exports, okay, most of the time when the transaction is reported in GSTR-1, the people generally do not correlate with the values that gets reported in GSTR-1, because whatever the data which is reported in GSTR-1 do not create a liability in electronic credit ledger, and all that one wants to report is they have made in exports. While reporting it, they have an option to tick manually that whether it is in exports with payment or without payment. Now, most of the time it may so happen that it has been ticked as with payment of taxes, but in GSTR 3B the corresponding taxes wouldn't have been discharged because it was made under LUT. Or sometimes it could be a vice versa, very rarely situation, but it could also vice versa, where it has been ticked as without payment of taxes, but the taxes have been paid in GSTR 3B. Again, the answer to this is, where should get it reported? Would it get reported in 4C as taxes paid with payment of taxes, or would it get reported in 5A or exports without payment of taxes? Now, the right answer to this is what you have actually done, rather than what you have actually reported, but what you have actually done. Have you really exported with payment of taxes? If you have exported with payment of taxes, you would have reported in your GSTR 3B under 31B that it is exports with payment of taxes. It would have got reported there. So in your 3B, if you have reported it as with payment of taxes, irrespective of what has been done in GSTR 1, you would correctly report it. If it is there as with payment of taxes, you would go ahead and report it under 4C. If it is exports without payment of taxes, even though you have clicked as GSTR 1 with payment of taxes, you would report it back in 5A as without payment of taxes. So again, the answer to this is you would be using the data of GSTR 1. Of course, you will be using it, but the source you would also have to see is correspondingly whether the taxes have been paid or not. So if the taxes are not paid or no longer payable, you will do a correct reporting in GSTR 9.
So moving further, if a person has not taken an annuity and he has reported his exports as without payment of taxes in GSTR 3B as well as GSTR 1, so how it will be reported in GSTR 9?
Yeah. So further on to the question on exports, if there is a transaction undertaken as without payment of taxes, one precondition as a procedural thing is a LUT or a bond to be executed, and bond has been now relaxed and a letter of undertaking to be filed. So if the question is, if the letter of undertaking is not done but still the exports are made without payment of the taxes, should one be reporting this in GSTR 9 under table 4 as with payment of taxes? I think in my view the answer is no. The exports are made without payment of taxes, right? The procedural part of LUT is not undertaken. Now, a procedure not done will not change the transaction per se. Because LUT is not done, the transaction itself by de facto wouldn't become is exports with payment of tax. Now, it is a procedural non-compliance, but that doesn't change the transaction. So, in this aspect, the SEC has to report it under table 5 as exports without payment of taxes, even though the LUT is not undertaken.
So as we understood about reporting of export transaction in GSTR 9, let's move to further another question. There is one transaction about the advance received in financial year 1718. Okay, the invoice was also issued in 1718, but it was reported in 1819 in GSTR 1. So how this will be reported in table 4 in GSTR 9?
Okay, so we have the advances to be reported in GSTR 9 under table 4F, and the carefully if we notice, so here your question is the advance is received in 1718, the invoice is also issued in 1718, but it was forgot to be reported in 1718 but reported in 1819. So the question is, would it come under table 4 and also in 10 and 11, or would it come only in table 4? Now in your case, the what happened is the advance is received, taxes are paid in 1718, invoice is also issued in 1718. So the reporting of this transaction would be in 4A or 4B, where like it is to a registered person it will be in 4B, unregistered person it will be in 4A. So the reporting of this will not be in 4F as advance, but it would be reporting under the original transaction under 4A or 4B, because what gets reported under 4F is only those advances where the taxes have been paid. and invoices have not been issued or the time of supply did not happen. So it is other than A to E goes to F. If a transaction is existing in A to E, you will not report it under 4F.
So moving on from 4F to 4G, or from advances to reverse charge, if in case a person has paid reverse charge correctly, but in GSTR 3B, he has reported in 3.1.8 table in GSTR 3B instead of 3.1.D in GSTR 3B. So how it should be reported in GSTR 9?
Yeah. So as GSTR 9 also has a place for correction of the reporting. What is expected to be reported in GSTR 9 is the turnover on which the taxes have been paid for. As I said, it is not a reporting of what has been reported. It's not a garbage in, garbage out. Now, there would be many situations where you would have paid the taxes, but you would have reported in a wrong head. So, in GSTR 9 is what you are doing a correct disclosure of why you have paid the taxes for. So in the given question, we have the SSE who has paid the taxes for reverse charge, which ideally should have get reported in 31D, but the SSE has reported it under 31A itself. Now, this when he is reporting it under GSTR 9, in my view, he has a rightful choice to report this as 4G. The taxes have been paid for reverse charge, and he can report it under 4G in GSTR 9. So he can do a correct reporting even though there is an error in reporting in GSTR 3B.
Thank you, Venugopal sir, for joining us today at ClearText to answer the queries of viewers on GSTR 9, and hope it helps them to understand GSTR 9 in a better way. And thanks for joining us. We will see you in future again. Thanks a lot.